Let's start our first news with Shara, who says he is ready to fight Sean Strickland. Shara believes he is more than capable of stepping into the octagon with the middleweight champion, and he is confident he can accomplish what Khamzat couldn't: defeat Strickland. During a recent Q&A in Abu Dhabi, Shara made it clear that he would accept the fight at any time. He said he is ready to fight today or tomorrow, and he wants to prove that Strickland is not the unstoppable beast many people believe him to be. According to Shara, his skill level is simply higher than Strickland's. This isn't the first time Shara has taken shots at the champion. After his decision victory over Michel Pereira, Shara reportedly questioned Strickland's status as a true world champion, calling him more of a domestic champion and claiming that he acts like a hero at home. Strickland, as expected, did not stay silent. After hearing Shara's comments, he fired back on X, reminding him that Shara had recently fought his teammate. Strickland mocked the situation by saying there are simply levels to this game. Shara's win over Pereira was competitive, with all three judges scoring the fight 29-28 in his favor. However, some fans believed the bout should have been a draw after Shara appeared to pull Pereira's hair during the fight without receiving a point deduction. There is no doubt that a matchup between Shara and Strickland would generate serious attention. Their fighting styles, combined with the trash talk, could make for an explosive buildup. However, the fight still appears unlikely for now. Shara is outside the middleweight top 15 and is only 2 fights removed from a loss to Michael Venom Page. Still, if Shara keeps winning, the possibility of this showdown could become real. Move on to another news, as a huge UFC 331 main card fight has reportedly been revealed. While speculation continues to spread that Arman and Charles Oliveira could finally collide at UFC 331, another major lightweight matchup is also generating serious attention. According to recent reports from Leo, Renato Moicano and Brian Ortega are expected to square off at UFC 331 in Los Angeles. The two fighters were originally scheduled to meet earlier this year, which would have marked Ortega's debut in the lightweight division. However, Ortega was forced to withdraw from the matchup due to injuries. This won't be the first time these two have shared the octagon. They previously fought all the way back in 2017, when both competitors were fighting at 145 pounds. On that occasion, Ortega secured the victory by submitting Moicano with a guillotine choke in the 3rd round. Following that win, Ortega continued his rise through the featherweight division and eventually earned a title shot against then-champion Max Holloway. Unfortunately for Ortega, the fight ended in a TKO stoppage. Fast forward to 2026, and Ortega's career has taken a difficult turn. He has not competed since August of last year, when he suffered a decision loss to Aljamain Sterling. Even more concerning, Ortega has now lost 4 of his last 5 fights, making this upcoming matchup a critical opportunity to turn things around. Moicano, meanwhile, enters the fight with more momentum. In his most recent appearance in April, he dominated Chris Duncan and secured a submission victory. He has gone 3-2 across his last 5 fights and currently sits around number 7 in the lightweight rankings according to media rankings. For Ortega, this could be the perfect chance to make a statement and prove he still belongs among the division's elite. But with Moicano riding momentum and confidence, this could be a very difficult challenge for the former title challenger. Move on to another news, because the UFC Paris main event has officially been revealed, and it features Dan Hooker taking on one of the most exciting new additions to the UFC roster, Saladin Parnasse. The highly anticipated matchup is set to headline the UFC Paris card on September 5th, giving Parnasse an absolutely huge opportunity in his UFC debut. Not only will he be stepping into the world's biggest MMA promotion for the first time, but he will immediately find himself competing in a main event on home soil. For a fighter making his UFC debut, this is about as big as it gets. Standing across from him will be the experienced Dan Hooker, a veteran of countless high-level battles who knows exactly what it takes to compete under the brightest lights. Hooker has built a reputation as one of the most tough and entertaining fighters in the lightweight division, and he will now have the chance to welcome Parnasse to the UFC in front of a passionate French crowd. Parnas, meanwhile, reacted to the announcement on X with an emotional message reflecting on the journey that brought him to this moment. He explained that he is taking the biggest step of his career and will now make his UFC debut in the main event in Paris. He also made it clear that he has not forgotten where he came from or the difficult path he had to travel to reach this point. According to Parnas, none of this happened by chance. It is the result of years of hard work, sacrifices, and the unwavering support of the people who have followed him from the very beginning. The rising star also expressed his pride in representing France, Morocco, and Guadeloupe on the biggest stage in MMA. He emphasized that he did not reach this position alone, showing appreciation to everyone who supported him throughout his career. Now, Parnas is ready to give everything he has when he finally steps into the UFC octagon. For Hooker, this is another major test against a highly motivated newcomer. For Parnas, it is the beginning of an entirely new chapter. And with the UFC Paris main event now set, all eyes will be on September 5th to see whether the experienced veteran can spoil Parnas's debut or whether the newcomer can make an unforgettable first impression on the biggest stage of his career. Move on to another news, as UFC Abu Dhabi delivered plenty of notable moments, controversy, and unexpected developments before the main event even arrived. The biggest early setback came when Islam Dulatov was forced to withdraw from his fight after being hospitalized with an infection. According to his management team, Islam had spent weeks preparing for the matchup, but after receiving medical treatment, the UFC and his team decided that his health had to come first. His team apologized to the fans who were looking forward to seeing him compete and promised that Islam would focus on making a full recovery before returning to action. Meanwhile, Mike Davis was clearly frustrated following his loss to Nursultan Ruzabov. Shortly after the fight, Davis took to social media and criticized the UFC's matchmaking, arguing that his opponent spent much of the fight holding on to him without doing significant damage or advancing the position. Davis also revealed that he had been sick throughout the week leading into the bout. Despite that, he claimed he still felt strong during the fight and believed he was capable of competing at his best. However, Davis acknowledged that he lost the fight fair and square, even while expressing his frustration over the result and his future position on UFC cards. Then, during the prelims, Valter Walker delivered a spectacular first-round calf slicer against Thomas Peterson. But what happened after the fight quickly grabbed attention. Walker called out veteran referee Herb Dean, accusing him of making a controversial decision that negatively affected one of his teammates. Walker expressed his anger and even demanded a future fight with Dean, saying he wanted revenge. While the comments were clearly emotional, they added another layer of drama to an already eventful UFC Abu Dhabi card. Between an unexpected withdrawal, a frustrated fighter speaking out, and a bizarre callout after a dominant submission victory, the Abu Dhabi event certainly had no shortage of headlines before the night was over. Move on to another news. As Dustin Poirier appears to be in much better spirits after a difficult period involving an airport incident that reportedly led to his arrest and created major consequences outside the octagon. The veteran lightweight has been dealing with plenty of attention recently, especially after the situation reportedly affected his relationship with Bud Light. Losing a sponsorship deal is never easy for any athlete, particularly for someone who has spent years building a strong public image and a loyal fan base. However, despite everything that has happened, Poirier now appears to be showing that he can still find a reason to smile. Recently, Dustin shared a post on Instagram alongside a photo of himself, and the message suggested that he is looking forward to better days ahead. The post was short, but the timing caught the attention of fans because it came after what has clearly been a challenging stretch for the former interim lightweight champion. Poirier has always been known for his toughness inside the octagon, but moments like this show another side of his personality. Instead of allowing the recent controversy to completely define him, he appears to be trying to keep a positive mindset and move forward. The airport situation created a wave of discussion across social media, with fans and critics debating what happened and what the consequences should be. The incident also became a major talking point because of the reported impact it had on Poirier's sponsorship. Still, the latest Instagram post suggests that Dustin is not letting the situation completely bring him down. For a fighter who has experienced the highest highs and lowest lows throughout his career, maintaining a sense of humor can sometimes be the best way to deal with difficult circumstances. Poirier has built his reputation through years of intense competition, major victories, heartbreaking losses, and unforgettable battles. Now, as he moves through this latest chapter, it seems he is choosing to focus on the future rather than allowing one controversial situation to define his entire story. Whether this marks the beginning of a fresh chapter for Dustin remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: despite everything that has happened recently, Poirier appears to be keeping his spirits up and reminding everyone that there are still better days ahead. Move on to another news, as Magomedov made his UFC debut against Damian Rizapecki, and the highly hyped prospect immediately showed why so many people are excited about his future. The fight started with some controversy when Chanko accidentally poked Damian, earning a warning from the referee. But after that, he completely turned up the pressure. In the second round, Chanko landed 2 huge elbows that visibly rocked Rizapecki. Damian managed to recover, but Chanko continued attacking with vicious elbows that opened him up and made the fight incredibly difficult. By the third round, Chanko was still throwing everything from brutal elbows to front kicks aimed at the head. Despite absorbing a tremendous amount of punishment, Rizapecki showed incredible toughness and survived until the final bell. Chanko ultimately secured a unanimous decision victory in his UFC debut. After the fight, Chanko sent a message to Ilya, pointing out that his opponent claimed to be part of Ilya's team. Chanko responded by saying he comes from the school of Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov and is ready to take on everyone. The MMA community was quick to praise his performance, with several fighters highlighting his slick style, excellent clinch work, and especially his short elbows. Then came the main event between Magomed Ankalaev and Bogdan Guskov. The fight was put together on short notice after Khalil Rountree withdrew with an injury. Before the fight, attention was also drawn to a massive $7,900 bet placed on Guskov to win, with a potential payout of $42,300. Unfortunately, the fight itself was far less exciting. The opening round was extremely slow, with both fighters struggling to create meaningful action. The second and third rounds followed a similar pattern, with the crowd becoming increasingly frustrated. In the fourth round, Ankalaev finally took control, securing top position and keeping Guskov grounded for several minutes. He eventually took Guskov's back and attempted to lock in a submission, but couldn't finish it. The fifth round brought more of the same. Ankalaev secured another takedown and continued controlling the action from the top. Then, while landing ground strikes, the referee suddenly stopped the fight, awarding Ankalaev a fifth-round TKO victory. The ending immediately sparked criticism from fans and fighters, with some joking that the referee had simply become bored. Others praised Ankalaev's dominance, but admitted the performance was unlikely to earn him an immediate title opportunity. Overall, while Chanko delivered a memorable debut, the main event left many fans frustrated by the lack of action and controversial stoppage. Move on to another news, as Mike Perry versus Dillon Danis has reportedly been announced for a major upcoming event. It looks like Perry's next fight will not be a rematch with Nate Diaz after all. Following Perry's victory over Diaz at MVP's Netflix event in May, there was plenty of talk about running the fight back. The rematch seemed possible because Diaz was unable to continue into the third round after suffering a cut. After the fight, Diaz immediately called for another matchup, while MVP also expressed interest in making the rematch happen. However, according to a recent report from MMA Fighting, Perry is now expected to face Dillon Danis instead. The reported matchup is scheduled for August 29th in Orlando as part of a hybrid combat sports event featuring MMA, boxing, and kickboxing. The card is also expected to include several influencer fights and appearances from other UFC veterans. Interestingly, the fight is reportedly expected to take place inside a traditional ring rather than an octagon, adding another unique element to this matchup. Danis is coming off a submission victory over Warren Spencer in his most recent MMA appearance on a Misfits card last August. But this fight could be particularly interesting because Danis and Perry have actually trained together in the past. Footage of the two fighters sparring surfaced last year, showing that they are already familiar with each other's styles. Their history goes back even further. Perry and Danis were reportedly interested in fighting each other all the way back in 2023, but the matchup never materialized at that time. Now, years later, it appears these two could finally settle their business inside the ring. For Perry, this is another opportunity to build momentum after defeating Diaz and establish himself as one of the biggest names in crossover combat sports. For Danis, meanwhile, facing someone as aggressive and experienced as Perry represents a massive challenge. If the fight goes ahead as reported, fans could be in for a very interesting clash between two fighters who have plenty of history and are both known for generating serious attention wherever they compete.